Hi friends, happy to welcome you all back, and we are coming with one more program, learning from experts. And I think last program with Logan and very good response. People are happy to have Logan's program. They have got a lot of positive feedbacks, and hope so we will get a lot of new speakers into our program to learn about what are the importance in insurance, and the main key area what we just wanted the experts, what they're doing something different compared to others. That is what we just want to highlight this program. So today, again, I'm bringing one more special guest. And he the person who have been example for himself to done a lot of hard work, change his career, and he's come out of a lot of difficult times, and we want to share about. And he written two beautiful books. One book we already launched on our website, Goals Do Come True. So that's our topic today. And the one more book he's going to launch soon. So he will come and talk about that. And he's a well-known person in the MDRT also. So I'd like to invite the member from UK, Mr. BENNETT. So before inviting him, I just want to show you a short brief about his profile. Then we will have a brief discussion and we'll have a lot of questions with the Doug. So yeah, I'm just sharing his profile right now. So Doug is a lifestyle financial planner, and he's an international speaker and author. Doug also been 15 years MDRT member and a 6 times COT member, and he's a life member also. As well as he's spoken into MDRT conference 2016 Vancouver as a main plan speaker. He's spoken, and as well he's spoken to New Zealand, Australia, Europe, and UK also. And he well-known speakers into MDRT, and he also been a well motivator also. So he has to done a lot of speaking into that, and he written the book. It's about that. So Dick is very passionate about his work. He's doing a lot of client-oriented services in the UK, and he's getting a lot of learning into that. He's the person who's come 2010. He was been bankruptcy, and he turned out and he cleared all his debts, and he make the goal setting himself to create. So that's his teaching to any member want to follow him to how to come out this very difficult times to become a goal setting and other things. So that's why he written a book, Goals Do Come True. So we will listen about that, why that book is very much important, or any financial advisor must learn about, and where they can be able to buy this book and everything. He will come and talk about that. As well as he's coming his upcoming book, Think Simple, Win Big. Again, that also we're going to talk about. That's mainly for a wider audience about international entrepreneurs and everybody. And that is mainly he's into different areas. He's looking into the Doug also said, director of financial freedoms and broker, financial advisor, coach, mentor, author. So he's well known in the international speakers also. He's planning more than 30 years. He's worked in various different areas and highlighting into that. So that's how about Doug and his key taking points. Now we're going to see today. He wants to talk about he was nearly bankrupt, was his goal setting approach, making over 1 million in 10 years, how to set a goal and make them happen, how to ensure you set off your business journey on the right foot, practical tips for budgeting and financial simplicity, how to keep going on when the times get tougher, and how to think simple and win big in life, in your career, finding a balance between life and work, and build preparation about estate planning. And I got a very lovely pictures of Doug, and I'm inviting Doug to our program. Hi, Doug.
Hi there. Thank you very much for having me on board and that very, very comprehensive introduction. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you and your viewers. And I'm happy to share as much as we can get out of my brain, out into the ether. So, you carry on. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful, wonderful, Doug. All the way, I think it's taken a lot of time to preparing all those things, because I gone through profile. It's more impressive. Another thing, you are the person itself is self-motivated. You did a lot of things. That's things which we want to highlight in our members who are non-members of MDRT also. How to be a successful insurance advisor, how can change your life. So you will be the best example for anybody on that. And I'm happy you're connected all the way from UK. Thank you so much. And I'm not taking much time, Doug, and just putting your first question. What's motivated you to come to this profession? How was your journey started?
Well, I started work in a bank, and I was getting more and more successful selling the bank's products. And I had an opportunity to go and work in an estate agent's to be their mortgage broker. So just to arrange mortgages for people buying houses through the estate agents. And I got better and better at that. And then I decided I wanted to run my own business. So, and that was, nearly 30 years ago now. So I've been a financial advisor for 30 plus years, mortgage broker for most of that time, $1 Million Roundtable member. I was in for 95, 96 and 97. And then I left for a little while and then I rejoined in 2011. And I've been every year since then. And I've got my court of the table qualifications as well. But humble beginnings in a bank.
Great. And just talk about what's your early days. How you looking? What is the current days? How you are looking into the market?
Well, the early days, it was all predominantly mortgages and the life insurance to go with that to pay the mortgages off. And I always started my conversations with my clients with very, very simple questions. And it helped me get the life insurance sales. Is basically, the first one is, if you were off sick for a long time, would you want to be paid until you return to work? Yes or no?
Yes.
It's a very, very simple question. And everybody answers yes. So there you have an income protection sale, right? Let's not make it too complicated for people. If you suffered a heart attack, cancer, or stroke, or were made totally and permanently disabled, would you like enough money to pay off your mortgage and put money in the bank for convalescing to maybe convert your house or your car? Yes or no?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course. Which is, of course, critical illness cover or trauma insurance. And the last one is, if your partner had died last night, how much income would you want to maintain your lifestyle? And how long into the future would you like that to continue? So ask them how much. They go 2,000, 3,000, whatever the currency is. They tell you what it is that they want. And there you have another sale. So you have 3 sales: income protection, critical illness cover, and life insurance. And it's very, very, very simple. But the other thing is, I always kill my clients off last night or last week. I never kill my clients off. Imagine if you died next week, because obviously we could be tempting fate. If they die next week and we've still got the application on our desk, that's a bit of a problem. So I always kill my clients off last week because I don't want to tempt fate. So those questions, those simple questions, they've served me for the last 30 years. Now, we've got to be a little bit more clever these days because people can see that. But if you say the same questions, but with a smile in your voice, it's still getting the same message across. People still need critical illness cover. They still need life insurance. They still need income protection. So that's served me well all the way through my whole career, which has helped me qualify for MDRT as and when I did.
Great. I'm just moving to the next question to you. Can you share about your family and why your family is so important in achievement? And what you learned in MDRT about old person concept?
But your family is the most important thing. Okay, we work hard. We all work really, really hard, and it's all for our family. That's what we tell ourselves. But with the whole person concept, you've got to get that balance right, because, you know, when you work really, really hard, it's only you and I that get to qualify to go to MDRT, to meet our friends and to learn new things. Our families don't get to go with us. So we're sort of competing with their time. Now, way back when, in my early years, I was just spending all of my time working. And my wife, my first wife, and that's quite important, my first wife was working in a bar to make extra money because we weren't making enough money, and my children were at home, and I had 2 boys, 5 and 3. But because I was working so hard all the time, our relationship split up. Okay. So the important thing is that you've got to put family time in your diary first. You know, share with them. Now, if you are going to be having to work for 3 weekends on the trot, you know, and you're working 9 to whenever all the way through the week, and you've got to work a few weekends, then you need to make sure that the 4th weekend is allocated to them. And at least that. I mean, in your early days of a career, you're working, because you have to, right? But as you get older and more mature and you can do things more quickly, you can give yourself more time. But if you are going to spend all this time from your family, make sure that you put some family time away, and make sure that you don't let them down as well when that time comes. Make sure that, you know, if you're saying we're going to be available for the weekend, you're available for that weekend. And plan your weekends as well. That's another important thing. So family time's most important thing, is what we do it all for anyway. But, you know, the awards and the results and all the rest of it, that's just for us. And it's just so that we can give a good time for our family. But you've got to make sure that you put that family time in the diary first. Critical.
Great. Just why just putting this question is that over the period, we focus more on business, and we forgot to spend a lot of time with the family nowadays. I think the MDRT teaches for the whole person concept why it is so important to be in a inner person and outer person. You need to spend more time with the family. So that's just so you've been a 15 years member, and you've been an international speaker. Another thing, I know you know the value of that once, and every day you're spending time with the family, right? So I'm just moving to the next question. That in your journey of insurance advisor, what was your learning, and what most important things which record to be a successful insurance advisor?
The most important thing is put your client first. Okay. Don't think about, oh, I've got to get this sale for me. Think about, my client needs this insurance for them. Think that way. Okay. So think about your client and their needs, and put yourself in their shoes and explain to them what will happen if they don't do the right levels of insurance. And you can be, I always use this phrase with any conversation with my clients. Can I be honest with you, or do I need to be diplomatic? And so I say, that's good, because if I have to be diplomatic and I have to be tippy-toeing, you know, moving around carefully around your feelings to make sure, it takes longer for me to explain what it is I need to explain to you. But if you allow me to be honest with you, I can tell you honestly what's going to happen to your family if you don't have this insurance in place.
True.
Consequently, because you've agreed that you're going to be honest with them, you tell them exactly what's going to happen if they don't have the insurance in place. They will then want to buy more insurance from you. So all of a sudden, you're not selling them insurance, they're buying insurance from you. And the madness is, If they're buying, they will buy more. If you are selling to them, you will sell less. So always look after your clients first. Look after their interests first. Be honest with them rather than diplomatic, because the conversation is so much quicker. Okay. And you can say things because you can honestly say, look, if your husband died last week, you will have this house, but you will have a mortgage. You will have your children that go to college or go to school, and they won't be able to do that anymore. And you can say with passion what will happen because you've agreed with them in the first instance, that you can be honest with them rather than diplomatic. So that's something I always do. Can we be honest rather than me having to be diplomatic? And the sales are so much bigger because they're buying from you rather than you selling to them.
So based on your answer, Doug, I just understand right questions, right way to put it right from the client. And so asking questions is a great way, getting a business on whenever they needed a record on that. So what was your view on what kind of questions the member can ask going for a sales process?
It's back to those first three. If you were off sick for a long time, would you want to be paid until you return to work? Yes or no? If you suffered a heart attack, cancer, stroke, loss of speech, loss of hearing, loss of sight, were made totally and permanently disabled, would you want to be able to pay off your mortgage, convert your house and car, and have money in the bank for convalescing? Yes or no? You know, it's that simple. Just make the simple question. Your job is to help them buy life insurance and income protection and critical illness cover. So you need to tell them in very, very clear terms what the job does, what the life insurance policy does, what the critical illness policy does, what the income protection policy does. And they really should have all of them, because we don't know if they're going to die instantly. We don't know if they're going to have a critical illness, and we don't know if they're going to be off work for a long time. So they should have some. And if they can't afford it all, and you should always quote, because you're going to be honest with them. So this is honestly what you should be doing. And I always say, if you were my brother, this is the insurance I would be recommending to you as my brother. And you pull them into your family. And then the insurance sales are so much bigger.
Perfect. That's the way the right questions, the right places, right? So it's always good for you. Wonderful. And I'm just moving the very important questions to you, Doug. And how was your journey with MDRT? Did MDRT help to grow you professionally? Why MDRT is so important on our journey?
Well, I did 3 years of MDRT in the mid-90s. Okay. And then I moved away. I joined a firm and they said that you don't need to be with MDRT. We will teach you everything that you need to know. Okay. And they were a very aggressive sales company. I didn't appreciate how aggressive they were when I joined them. But anyway, so they said I didn't need MDRT. And I gradually moved away from them and I rejoined MDRT in 2011. Now, back to my bio. In 2010, I was on the edge of bankruptcy. And I was looking back through my history at that point, and I was going, right, okay, what things were important to me? What things really made me feel good about myself? Because when you're on the edge of bankruptcy, you don't feel good about yourself, right? You really don't. You feel unworthy. So what things in my past, and I was looking back and it was like, okay, when I was an MDRT member, that made me feel worthwhile and possible, and it gave me a buzz. So I went to the UK day, and you will have days where the, MDRT all get together, and it's, it's more of a localized thing rather than the annual meeting. So I went to the UK day with a friend of mine, and I got enthused again. I got excited again about what was possible. And I checked my figures, and even though I was on the edge of bankruptcy, I just had enough qualification to qualify for base level MDRT. And even though I didn't have any money, I found the money to go to the annual meeting in 2011 based upon my poor qualification figures for 2010. So even though things were grim, I was still producing at a good level, for MD. And I met Michelle Hoskin, but she's little Miss Wow, she's known as. And she was sat with me and she said, I don't understand, Doug. I don't understand why you're having so much difficulty, because you're a nice guy, right? You're trustworthy. I feel comfortable with you. It's like you exude confidence, and capability, and all of these things that because I'd had the battering psychologically of being on the edge of bankruptcy. Now, if I hadn't gone to MDRT, I wouldn't have met Michelle. Okay. And what happened is my production for 2011 was 49% higher than it was in 2010. So I had a 50% increase in my business production. Now, bearing in mind, I went in June, so I only had 6 months of the love and the capability and the sharing of everything that MDRT has to give. I only had 6 months of that, and I still increased my production by 50%. So that was it. That was my journey, and I've been to every single meeting since then. And I work reasonably hard, but I don't work really, really, really hard because I like my family time. But gradually, 2 or 3 years later, I qualified for court of the table. Okay. And I've got 6 court of the table qualifications now. Now, all of that has come from that first one meeting. And it's, it's gradual. There's a compounding effect on the ideas that you receive, the camaraderie that you receive from the other members and the other people that you meet on committees and all of that sort of stuff. So it's as far as I'm concerned, it's a life changer.
Wonderful, Doug. 1 minute. Wonderful, Doug, about your sharing about MDRT journey, and want to know more about MDRT. Let's look forward. And can you share about your view on digital marketing, social media? Will it need it to learn on this COVID time? Probably you've been with the UK market for more than 15 years, right? So, and you've been a professional for 30 years and above. How you see the transmission in digital marketing? Will that's mandatory member to learn and explore in social media like LinkedIn, Facebooks, and WhatsApps and other things? What's your view on that?
Well, I think it's compulsory. It's the future. The way selling is going to go is that people will need to know, like, and trust you. That's how selling will be on into the future. That's how it's been developing. There will be 1 or 2 people out there in the world that can go the hard sell on the phone all day long and numbers. The thing is about that is that when it's numbers, and it's all about price, then the people that are buying policies based on price rather than on a relationship with their financial advisor, next year, somebody else will have a slightly cheaper price and they will go and buy it from them. So for longevity, you need to be known, liked, and trust. And that's what social media does. That's typically all that it does. It builds a picture around you so that when people they come across your name, they come across an article you've written, or they see your advert, right? They're going to hunt you down. They're going to go on Facebook. They're going to go, they're going to Google search you. And if you're on LinkedIn and you're on Facebook and you're on Insta and you're on TikTok, then you're going to come up on the first page and there's going to be lots of information about you that people can have a sneak preview, see if they like the type of person that you are, because we're all different. Every single person of the 7.5 billion people on the planet, right? We're all different. So we will have our tribe of people that will like us, and they will know, like, and trust us, and they will like the stuff that goes on our social media and around our social media. So it's a must. If you haven't got any social media, if you can't be found on Google, you don't exist.
I agree with you. Nowadays, it's mandatory, right? So
yes, absolutely.
Why just putting this question is that you've been in the industry for 30 years, right? So you see this was very important. So as a member like you can say that this is we need to adapt it, learning, posting every day, it is mandatory to. That's why you put rightly said, you're not alive with that. Wonderfully said. So thank you so much for that input. And now I'm moving to the main one right now, to your books, more inspiring one. So first we'll talk about the first book. So why these goals do come true, why these advisors must read on that. So what is that?
Okay, so what happened? You know about, my near bankruptcy in 2010. You now know about me meeting Michelle Hoskin and, the difference she made in my mind and the MDRT stuff. Now, I wrote my little goals book. Okay. This is my little goals book. Now, on the front of Goals Do Come True is a page from the goals book. And this is the original goals book. It's falling apart now. I look after it carefully and I only hold it up and put it down carefully because it made a huge difference to my life. But this little notebook, it cost less than £1. Okay. And I wrote my goals down on a day-by-day basis. I'd listen to a cassette tape, right? This is from how old it was. The little plastic cassettes that you put in the cassette tape player. And I listened to Brian Tracy. Yeah. And Brian Tracy, anybody that's above a certain age will know who Brian Tracy is. And he said, write your goals down every single day for a period of time. Don't refer back to the ones you wrote the day before. So you write down day after day, day after day, day after day, but don't check back on the ones that you wrote the day before. And the reason for that is some days there will be a goal that's important. The next day, it's not as important. But the really seriously important goals, they will be like cream and they will rise to the top of the list. No cream in a bottle of milk, right? If you have a mix of cream and milk in a bottle of milk, the cream rises and sits on the top. And that's what will happen with your really important goals, which is why you don't refer to the ones the day before. So anyway, what happened was this little notebook where I wrote my goals, got tucked away in the drawer, lost for 4 or 5 years. But when I got it back out, I'd completed 10 out of 11 of the goals on the list, because I'd fed my subconscious enough in those early days. And of course, I was going through this tough time. Now, I know that I wrote the goals out in 2004, because one of the goals on there, which gives it a timeline, is I have completed the London Marathon. And I completed the London Marathon in 2005. So I knew the goals must have been written before 2005. And I only had the idea to run in the London Marathon a year or 18 months beforehand. So, you know, I know it's around about 2004. So when I found the book again, I thought, crazy, 10 out of 11 of the goals have come true. Maybe there's something in this goal setting thing. So I started writing them again. Now, my qualification for MDRT is, in the UK, it's around about £50,000. Sorry, I should have interpreted that into your local currency, but maybe you can do that. Okay, but my income target then was 100,000. I'm just pausing there because you're on mute.
Yeah.
Okay. So my qualification was 50,000, right? So I doubled the figure to 100,000. And the 100,000 started off as turnover. Then it was net profit. Then it was personal income. And then when I got to 100,000 personal income, I thought, well, I'll just increase it. So I'd achieved the 100,000 goal, so I increased it to 200,000. Oh, you're just going to double it, aren't you? Because you're into goals now and you can believe that they're happening. So you go big. So I increased it to 200, and then gradually I increased it to 250,000. Now, hitting a £200,000 goal meant that I qualified for court of the table. Okay. So that was 3 times $1 million round table qualification. So that served that purpose. Then I increased it to 250,000. So that's $250,000. And I did that in about 2017, 2018. And my wife presented my accounts to me in 2019, early 2000, 250,000, and I beat it by £266. So all of a sudden you think, oh, wow, there's something in this goal setting. You know, I've told it I want that and I got that. So I increased it to 500,000, $500,000, right? Because if you're going to have big goals, you're going to have big goals. And then a firm came and offered to buy my business from me. And in 2019, they gave me £510,000. And in 2020, they gave me another £500,000. So that's how I sold my business, or part of my business, for £1 million. 10 years earlier, I was on the edge of bankruptcy. 10 years later, with goals and goal setting, I had the money to invest in myself, but also to invest in the world and tell my story, which is the goals do come true. Okay. So it's the fundamental stuff that I learned throughout my period of when things were tough, how I kept in touch with my clients and, you know, always did the right thing by them rather than the right thing by me. And then I was able to sell my business and turn my life around. So, you know, that's where. Now I've also got a podcast of the same name, Goals Do Come True. There's a podcast where I interview people each week, and we've got coming up to 100 episodes now, where I've interviewed people on their goals, on their big, hairy, audacious goals, how they do it, what they've done, how they've done it, what the steps that they do. So, that's another valuable, completely free resource that's available to your listeners for them to see that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things.
Great. That's a point we are doing these interviews with experts like you, because when you find a difficult time in your life and you changed everything and made a small piece of chipboard and make them to write in your goals and make him today, and you have come up with that and you want to teach others to do that. The goals is main important, reaching your goals on everyday points. That's a wonderful one. And happy to know about that. And hopefully we will put the links to buy the book, or probably it's available on your website, or if it is available in Amazon or something, that we put the link. People can connect with you on. If they have any questions, you can send your mail to know about what more on they can do that. And the new one, the new baby, what you're coming right now, probably think simple, win big. So
think simple, win big. Well, it's how to build the business of your dreams with a few simple goals, right? So think simple, win big, how to build the business of your dreams with a few simple goals. Well, I was very grateful to MDRT and all my peers in MDRT for the support they gave me over the years. So the Goals Do Come True book was for them. So there's lots of reference to MDRT. There's lots of reference to financial advice and goal setting within financial advice. And it was all about them. And then I thought, do you know what? There's a message here for a wider audience. So we took some of the stuff that was in Goals Do Come True and we tightened it up a bit, and we took out MDRT reference because obviously it doesn't mean a great deal to anybody outside of the industry, and created the Think Simple Win Big book. And it's for entrepreneurs, or it's for people that are thinking about, they've got a main job and they're thinking of a little bit of a side hustle, to maybe replace the 9-to-5 job that we all, have. But as entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs, we want to, create a business alongside our main job. And then one day the main business becomes, or the side hustle becomes the main business. So it was tips and tricks and things to be the minefield, because you run your own business. I run my own business, right? It's not all plain sailing all of the time, is it?
Yeah, true.
Okay. So it's just little bits and pieces that I've learned over the years to say, well, look, if you're thinking about it, just watch out for this and watch out for that, watch out for that. And, it's a guide from somebody that's been there and done that. And again, it's on Amazon. I've self-funded it because I want the message out there for people, and it's on offer. It's relatively cheap, but it's a lifetime of valuable lessons in there.
Wonderful. And the book already in sales, right? So this.
Yeah, that's already out there in the world. So what I will do is I'll make sure I'll share with you the codes, because it's much easier if you've just got the code and you just go to your Amazon site, your local Amazon site, you just drop the code in and it will find the book. Because if you start trying to find it, it's not so easy. But I do have a free guide from financial struggle to financial success, which is available. Again, we'll share the link with you. And that's a free sort of 10 steps for getting going. So you're going to have that and see if you like my stuff, because that's what it's all about. If you like my stuff, you can then go on and buy my book.
Okay. That's a complimentary for our members watching this. So hopefully I will put the link and they'll get the ideas on that also.
Absolutely.
Wonderful, Doug, and we are looking forward much more books and our next book when you write it, and we will launch in our YouTube channel. For view, we will invite all the viewers to watch it, and you can explain about that. And
thank you.
All the best for your 2 books. And hopefully I will buy soon and go through that. What are the things on that? Okay. So moving to the next question. Can you recommend what kind of books as advisors must read on your journey? You would have see, right, a lot of books. This is a book's mandatory, they have to read it. So you're talking about Brian Tracy, right? So I also like him like that. Same thing, you have that. And being a public speaking skill. So a lot of people want to be a speaker and they want to do like in focus section or connection zones or international speaking. So what was your suggestion to them? They have to be a learning to become a speaker, right? So
okay, well, the first thing is, and this is for everything in life, just be you, right? Just be you. It's the easiest thing in the whole wide world to be, if you just be you. If you put out a persona to the world and you have a mask for when you go out into the world, it makes things so much more complicated. Because when can you be you and when can you be this other person? So I would say just be you. It's the biggest thing. Just be you. You are unique. You have, I think I said it before, your tribe of people that will like you. So if you want to talk, have some good ideas that you're prepared to share. Be enthusiastic. Be authentic. Have integrity. And be honest. If you're all of those things, you can be you, because it's an essence. It's you embody it, okay? And then you don't have to think about it. If you're honest all of the time with people and you're not saying something that's not quite right, and then you have to try and remember what you said in that environment and whether you're going to get caught out later, it's like, forget all of that. Be honest. And believe in your product. If you do not believe in the product that you're putting in front of people, change your provider, change your supplier. Okay. And that is the only way that we can improve the products that are available for our clients. If you don't, if you don't believe in your product, change your company. Because you have to believe in what you're doing, the product that you're selling. You have to be honest. You have to have integrity. That's how you make a lifetime of value for yourself, for your family, for your clients. So be authentic. And that's how you will attract people to you. That's how you will be picked up. If you want to speak at MDRT, everybody wants to speak at MDRT, right? So you've got to stick out somehow. So you have to be you, because that's the only way that you're going to stick out. And practice.
Wonderful.
And practice. And take these opportunities. If somebody throws you an opportunity to come and speak to an audience, come and speak to an audience and be passionate about what it is that you want to talk about, be authentic about it, and share. Because who knows where it will lead. Somebody watching this might want me as a speaker at their conference, and I'll get a trip to India. There are worse things.
So any of the book you're recommending?
Books. In my book, I do recommend a list. Actually, there is a list of books. I think for financial advisors to get the message across to their clients, The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason is good. Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. I like that. Is, you know, there's jobs that you have to do on a day-by-day basis. And if one of those jobs is to eat a frog, it doesn't work out too well if you sit there looking at the frog all day long. So what he says is, if you've got a job that's a bit like a frog, eat it straight away. Right? So the horrible jobs that you have, do those first, rather than the easy jobs, because it's easy to do. Oh, I check my emails. Oh, I'll just file my emails. You know, it doesn't take you any further forward. Okay, so there's I mean, there's quite a few. What would I there's there's some age-old classics. Think and Grow Rich, okay, by Napoleon Hill. Dale Carnegie, okay, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah, that's
The Magic of Thinking Big by David J. Schwartz.
okay.
These are real old classics, but they stood the test of time. Some of them are 50, 70, 100 years old.
Wow.
And wisdom is wisdom.
Wonderful. A lot of learning from you, Dirk, and I think members got a lot of benefit from that. Hopefully, they get benefit out of the qualify for MDRT CUT on top of the table. So moving to next question right now. See, what sits the customers are looking currently? How you are see objection from the clients?
Well, the objections are always the objections. Okay. It's too much money. It's too much. And you say, well, it's a big problem that we're trying to sort out. You know, all this life insurance that you need, all this income protection that you need, and all this critical illness cover, trauma insurance that you need, it's a big problem. And so it's not going to be cheap. But you have a choice. Today, we can leave the problem with you and your family who can't really afford it, or I can take the problem with me away and give it to an insurance company. They're specially designed to afford your problem. So it's invariably, if it's a big premium, it's a big problem. And you say, right, okay, so it's a big premium. Okay, all right. What's a comfortable premium for you? But did you notice I shut up? You have to be quiet. What's a comfortable premium for you? Silence. And you leave it there and it gets uncomfortable. And we want to fill the hole. And you're talking about 300 and they go, 150. And you go, okay. If I come up with a solution for you for 150 and it's acceptable, will we proceed with that? Yes, we can afford 150. Okay. So of these bits and pieces that I've put together, because you always present the full proper package, which of these bits can I trim down for you? Pause. The silent pause. it's their plan then. It's their premium that they're deciding. It's not yours, it's theirs. So they go, well, we could maybe not have quite so much life cover, and maybe instead of 50,000 income protection, we could have 30,000 income protection, and maybe we could do this. And okay, I will come back to you with the 150, and I will get as close to that as I possibly can. How does that sound?
Perfect.
My other favorite saying in the whole world. How does that sound? It's called a trial close, and it's old school stuff. How does that sound? They can't say no, and they can't say yes.
Yeah, indeed.
They have to give you an answer.
Yeah.
And they either go, yes, that sounds great, or they say, no, that's still too much, or they say, yes, that sounds great, but. If they say, yes, that sounds great, but, listen very carefully, because their main objection is just about to come out. And that's the thing that you need to get over. Okay? But you talk to people in simple terms. How much life insurance do you want? How much do you want? And use the term want, not need. Tony Gordon's famous for this one. Tony Gordon, past president of MDRT, the first British English MDRT president, I believe. How much do people want? Wants are so much better than needs. I need 2,000. I want 5,000. Okay. So sell to people's wants, not their needs. But objections, if somebody's got an objection, they're just asking for more information. Until they say, get out of my house, I don't want you to darken my doorsteps again, right? Anything else that comes up is a request for more information.
So it's a learning, right? So I'm impressed you about the answers what you're doing, right? So my next question is the most challenging time in your profession.
Well, my most challenging time was in the global financial crisis of 2008. Okay. So my mum had cancer and she died in 2006, November 2006. 12 weeks later, in 2007, my dad died. Right. My mum was 63 and my dad was 64, which is no age. So this was 2007. So I inherited part of their house. I have brothers and sisters. So I inherited part of their house and I invested it in a new, bigger house with a new, bigger mortgage. And we moved into our new, bigger house and new, bigger mortgage in 2007. And then in 2008, the global financial crisis. And we do mortgages. So I'm a mortgage broker. So I was doing 10, 15 mortgages each month. But because it was a debt, we were selling the life insurance and the critical illness and the income protection and all that, right? So I was doing 10 to 15 a month. In 2008, I did 25 in the whole year. So from 120 to 180 down to 25 in the whole year. So that was a grim time. And I just moved house and I just got a big mortgage, based on the income that was going on before. So I was robbing Peter, as we say in the UK, robbing Peter to pay Paul. I mean, taking money from here and putting it over there and taking it from here and moving it around. And my credit cards were increasing. My Personal loans were increasing, which is why I was on the edge of bankruptcy late 2010. So that was the grimmest time of my life. We were renting rooms out in our house. We lived very near Gatwick Airport, and there were guys training to be air pilots, pilots for the airlines, and they stayed in our house. We had two staying in our house with us, just so that we could have money coming in. So that was the grimmest time. And so my suggestion is, don't spend all of the money that you earn, right? Work out what it is that you need to get by on a month-by-month basis, and anything in excess of that, you put it aside, tuck it away as your own personal emergency fund, so that you have an opportunity. We've had COVID recently, right? That's had a devastating effect on people's opportunities to sell. In some respects, it's helped people because they've realized that actually people die. That's the truth. People die, and they die prematurely and unexpectedly. So all of a sudden we could take that as an advantage in financial services to say, well, now is the time to buy. If you've got your health, now is the time to buy, because how long is COVID going to continue? What's the next thing that's going to be coming? So out of every adversity comes opportunity. But make sure you have a good buffer fund set up behind.
It's a learning, right? So you would have savings first, then do the expenses first. Wonderful. And you be the real inspiration, most of us, to follow you on that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's kind.
And my next questions will be post-COVID, how do you see the current insurance market?
Post-COVID?
Post-COVID, how do you see current insurance market?
I touched on it there. The insurance company is going to be a bit more cautious. They're going to want to know a little bit more about the history of people. Again, when we're completing a proposal for somebody, always be honest. Because there's no point, making stuff up for the insurance proposal, because they'll never pay out. All right. So always be honest. So there's going to be some more caution, because the insurance companies will have paid out a heck of a lot more money than they were expecting as a result. So there will be some caution. We will see insurance premiums increasing, no doubt, as the underwriting balances against the risk and reward. But it's all about putting it in perspective. I present the premiums for my solution to my clients' problems, because the problem isn't the premium is the solution to their big problem. Okay. So I put the solution to their problem, the premium, in perspective. So if it is 300 and they earn 6,000, and I'm just using generic figures here, 300 on 6,000 is 5%. 5% of their take-home pay is tucked away into an insurance policy. That's an emergency fund. We're giving 300 to the insurance company as an emergency fund. And it's not the car breaking down. It's not the freezer breaking. All right. It's a real emergency. It's somebody dying, somebody suffering heart attack, cancer, or stroke, or loss of speech, or loss of hearing, or loss of sight. Or it's somebody losing their job for a long time because of an accident or an illness. That is a real emergency. So we're just tucking some money away. And it's going to be more expensive. Sorry. I must have said Siri in the middle of that. Because my apologies. But it's going to go up. Premiums are going to go up, right? The insurance companies have got to get some of their money back somehow, or another. But that doesn't diminish the need for protecting people, which is your job.
Great. Great. And before moving the final question, just ask you, a lot of new members and non-members going to watch this program, right? So what was your recommendation? One habits they ought to do regularly to be successful?
What do they, sorry?
What was the one habit they ought to do to become a successful? New advisors.
One habit. One habit. It is a numbers game. Okay. So you need to know what your numbers are. So you need to get into the habit of measuring what your numbers are. But then also you should create a number of habits for the whole of your life, for every single part of your life. To run a successful life, you need to have processes, and processes turn into habits once you use them often. So there's no one habit. I think what you need to do is look at your whole life and see what sort of things you can put as a process. So it's something that you do as a matter of course. It's like, I get up and I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this. I get to work and then I do this, and I do this, and I do this. And it's a process, 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 process. If I've got to ring 5 people a day, I've got to ring 5 people a day. You get into the habit that suits you, but get into the habit of going to the gym on a regular basis. Get into the habit of eating sensibly. Whenever you have the opportunity to go out for a meal, choose the healthier options. If you get the opportunity to go for a drink in moderation. It's like, there's no single perfect habit, just lots of little ones that you create and that you follow, and gradually your life, and it might seem like it's all a bit process driven, and it might seem like it's all a little bit robotic. It might seem that way, but if you're in when you're in a process for a set of circumstances and you can do it on automatic pilot, it gives you the opportunity to be spontaneous in other areas.
True.
So I would say there's no obvious one. One really good habit, though, is to wake up every day. That's a good habit to get into. Because if you don't wake up, that's your life over. All right. So that would be my best one. Wake up every day. And the way to wake up every day is to be healthy, be strong, be careful about what you think about, be careful what you put in your body, make sure that you exercise. But yeah, wake up every day is a good habit.
Wow. And the wonderful one, the habits, which is very much mandatory to being a successful advisor. And thank Doug. And we're going to be in a final question right now to you. What was your goal for the year? And what was your future journey? Okay,
so obviously all the way through, I've had these goals consistently, 10 to 12 goals that I wrote down on a regular basis, and I've gradually achieved them. And then when I sold my business for a large amount of money, it's like, well, most of the other goals as a result could be ticked off. I now have 2 Harley Davidson motorcycles, so I don't need another motorcycle on my list of, goals, right? So my goals list has shrunk. But now what I want to do is I'm creating a program, a coaching program. And it's for secretly struggling entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And basically, I want to take the lessons that I've learned, and I want to take people that are secretly struggling with their life. They've got a business. They've been doing it for 2 or 3 years, but they're not getting quite the right amount of traction. And they've become an entrepreneur and they're not getting the income that they promised their family that they were going to earn when they embarked upon this fantastic opportunity that entrepreneurism has for them. And so I want to help people do that. I want them to be able to turn their lives around. And it's, one of the first things that you need to do is know if you have a viable business. That's a fundamental. Now, anybody within financial services or life insurance has a viable business. Okay. And the reason being, they can pick up their phone. They can look to see how many contacts they have in their phone. And pretty much 90% of the contacts in their phone will need some life insurance. And we go off and we go and do this and we do that and we do the other and we do the other and we do the other. And it's like, to get new opportunities and we have 2, 3, 4, 500 contacts in our phone. And they think, well, I can't talk to them about life insurance. Okay. Well, how would you feel if you had to talk to their spouse about the lack of life insurance after your contact had died? How would you feel about that conversation? That is a trickier conversation to have when you haven't organized life insurance for your friend, your contact on your phone. That's a trickier conversation than just say, look, I need to bring this up, right? I was thinking about you the other day. I don't know if you know what I do, but I make sure people are okay if tragedy strikes. Can we have some time and talk about it? So you've got enough contacts. And if you go and you care for people and you do it in the right way, they're going to tell you about their friend that's in a similar situation and about their other friend that's in a similar situation. And all of a sudden, you've got all of these people that want what it is that you're doing because you're doing it the right way. Did that help?
Great. It's been a power-packed presentation, as well as your answers are very power-packed, and I really understand why this insurance is so important to remember about your giving the right advice, right to understand them, and right questions to ask them. Okay, and that's how you all learned for so many years, and just teaching them the way of approaching the clients and our give our right solutions, and always client listens to us. That's a wonderful learning from you. And it's been a pleasure to be in our program, and we learn a lot of things from you. Hopeful members can connect with you. They try to buy your book, or you like to want to see your podcast or something. Definitely, we will be there. And we also just mentioned you all your links in our program, so they will be able to connect with you easily.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Doug, been come to a program, and it's you have given a lot of intake of about members. And really, I open up for a lot of people how to look at this insurance industry.
It's the best industry to be in. You're making a huge difference to other people's lives, and you know the ripple effect of what you do is phenomenal. So I would love to be having my career over again, knowing some of the stuff that I know now. That would be amazing. But there's still time. I'm only 59. I've got plenty of years ahead of me.
Looking forward, and hopeful your next book will like to launch on our website. So
Absolutely.
that. Thank you so much being a part of the program. Thank you, Doug, and thank you, friends, being connecting today and learning about our masters. He's spoken about a lot of information about how to be a strong person in achieving anything in your life. And soon we will connect with one more learning from experts, and we will connect with you. Till that, signing off, this is your Shaktivel, and thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Doug, once again.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.